Okay, right. Well, today we have yet another interview in our series of Unleashed community drama rehab interviews. And today we have the lovely Emma Knowles, who, oh my gosh, Emma's been with us about 5 years and you've done some great stuff. But most importantly, you are at the moment playing quite an important part in the film we're making. Look at that, that's Emma. Yes, where was it? On Monday, filming, where you're playing Molly, who's best friend of the lead character. Emma, it's lovely having you here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your character and what it's like now being a film star?
Oh, so great. um, where do I start?
What's it like being in a film?
It's different from being on stage, but they're two very different experiences. So both a lot of fun.
And we've improvised this, haven't we? Do you want to tell us a little bit how we've come about with the whole story? Because in fact, you actually came up with the title, The Rich and the Pure. It was your idea for the actual title, wasn't it?
Yes, I'm very proud of that. Yeah, we got together in small groups and we discussed the history of St Mary Mag's, and we discussed the characters, historical characters that actually really existed. And there was a few that stood out and a few that were interesting. And we sort of discussed particularly Annie Davey, who was the very first doorkeeper, female doorkeeper, which was sort of unheard of back then for females to do those sorts of things. We then discussed sort of how these characters what they may have been like, their personalities, the way they would have lived, and just their sort of overall being. And wrote those down, and lo and behold, we ended up with a film called The Rich and the Pure.
We did. We basically took the local history and then we tied it all together with made up stories. And Annie Davey, we know very little about her, apart from the fact she was doorkeeper and she's buried in St Mag's, but we know nothing about, and she's become our central character. But your character, Molly, is a very compassionate character because you were both in service. And when Annie Davey becomes homeless, you take her in and you're like a sort of sidekick, aren't you, really? You're like the Robin to her Batman.
I like that. Yeah. I think that she was a sort of very down to earth, salt of the earth type character, just gets on with things, accepts that's the way life is. I get the feeling that maybe they've known each other for many, many years. And so they do have this close bond, this close friendship. Yeah. And now that they've both been basically made unemployed, they're able to sort of spend a bit more time together in their adult life, which is quite nice, I think.
Yeah, it's a great character, and oh my gosh, you play it so well. And we've got the big scene, the bread riot scene, coming up in just over a week's time, which is like a big ensemble piece, which we're filming around the back of the Merlin in this terrible, dodgy. And we're going to go early and sort of paint over the graffiti and put up a lot of manky, washing lines and barrels and stuff. It's going to be fat. Oh my gosh, it'll be so fat. But you, Emma, have been with us a long time. I mean, my goodness, you're so well known as you played. Here we are, look, Miss Furnival in Black Comedy, which was the first proper full-length play that Unleashed Community Drama did. And we obviously, Unleashed Community Drama is separate to Unleashed this company. But I mean, obviously, Unleashed Community Drama is a wonderful community of people who are all in some journey towards recovery. Do you want to share a little bit about how you came to join Unleashed? I mean, how do you hear us? And, what does it mean to you?
Well, I mean, that's a whole sort of epic journey in itself, but I'll try and sort of keep it brief. Which pinpoint shall I start? Well, I left an abusive relationship with my 18-month-old son, and sort of slowly started going downhill from then, on a whole sort of depression spiral. I was diagnosed with postnatal depression, but I think I had depression before that. I mean, I've been dabbling with drugs on and off since I was about 18 anyway. And at this time in my life, it sort of spiraled out of control a little bit. My son used to go and stay with his grandparents and his dad over the weekend. So I would do what I wanted to do at the weekends without him being around. So the two didn't affect each other at that point. My eldest brother passed away in 2012, and that really snowballed everything drug wise for me. I found legal legal highs and became completely addicted to what you know as spice now. That was pretty awful, and that was really the catalyst for me to find recovery. And I went to Shrublands and Walnut Lodge, and it was through them, particularly Walnut Lodge, where I found, oh no, Shrublands, sorry, where I found the Prep for Rehab group. Went to prep to rehab group, and instead of going away to a, I don't want to say a proper rehab, but a lockdown rehab, they suggested that I go into Jattis, which is a community rehab. So that happened. So I was in Jattis for a year, which was brilliant. Really sorted me out, really kind of put me back on the right track of things. It meant that I had a routine, I was clean, I was volunteering for a charity called TRIP, which helped people in recovery. Yeah, where to go from there, really? Drama was mentioned at that point, but I wasn't in the right frame of mind. After about a year, almost to the day, I met somebody and we basically absconded to Tenerife, where we had a lovely time for 6 months. We lovely time. We ran out of money and came back. Ended up coming back to Bristol and stayed with my cousin for a month, which was very kind of her. But I had to come back to Torquay because I really missed my son. That was the basis really for why we came back from Tenerife, as well as running out of money. So got back in contact with my son, started seeing him every other week to begin with. It's now every week. Found somewhere to live. And yeah, then I can't remember. I must have been going back to TRIP or, oh, what was that group called? Smart Recovery. Can't remember what it stands for now, but yeah, it's sort of the alternative to AA and NA and things like that. It was another really good recovery group, and that for me really helped, because it was about what do they call it, CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, where it retrains the brain in the way that it thinks, basically. And to me that made a lot of sense, and it really helped me progress in the way that I was going, and sort of really helped me to analyze my own behavior and the own triggers and things like that, what sets me off, and what can I do to stop that and readjust, which was great. Really big help. And it was through both TRIP and the Smart Recovery group that drama was mentioned. So I had really bad anxiety. My depression was not too bad, but the anxiety was through the roof. I could barely leave the house most of the time. I could go to very specific places. So it literally took me 4 weeks to pluck up the courage to actually walk through the door of drama. And that very first time, Ian was there with his dog, Dave.
Dave the dog.
Dave, dog, Dave.
Dog, yeah.
and Mikey, of course, and obviously yourself. And I decided at that moment I was just going to jump in with both feet. I wasn't going to sit on the sidelines and and ah about it, because if I did that, I might have walked out and not come back. So from day one, I just threw myself into it. And
that was about 5 years ago, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was. It'll be. I think it'll be 5 years in April.
Wow.
April, yeah. So long time. But I'm glad to say that Unleashed has been one of the most stable things in my life in those 5 years. Lots of things have changed. Place of residence, friends, jobs, groups, people. There's been a lot of instability in my life, and in those 5 years, basically Unleashed has been the constant throughout all of that. So much appreciated for that. And I've seen it change and evolve over time as well. We have a nice little sort of core of people who are constant, and this is our nucleus, our for our family in Unleashed, I feel. But it's really nice to accept new people to come in, and new skills, new talents, new personalities.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, that lovely mix of all different people from all walks of life.
What would you say though was I mean, obviously you've done quite a lot of performing. I mean, you are a great little actor. It's fantastic. I mean, I'm so pleased that you're in this film. And we've managed to write it in such a way that everybody has got their moment to shine. And I mean, obviously Miss Furnival, that was a massive task, in that you had loads to learn. You had to pretend to be drunk every night, this very sort of uptight spinster who is very straight-laced, who he's got a bit of a drink problem on the go.
I had a bit of method acting involved in that.
But I mean, what would you say about how performance has perhaps helped you in some skills that has enabled you to sort of move forward, as it were? I mean, what sort of skills do you think you've learned through your time at Unleashed?
Well, the very first performance was in
No Man Away?
A Man for All Seasons.
Oh, A Man for All Seasons.
Really? I'm not Australian. Yeah, A Man for All Seasons was brilliant, because it was my part was a non-speaking part, but it was very hands-on. I was basically a scene change, but the part was written in for me to make me fit in with the whole play. And that was a great introduction to how it all operates, and the direction.
Great production, wasn't it?
Amazing, absolutely amazing, and the characters and the people that played the parts, just perfect, absolutely spot on. So yeah, I mean, it was so much fun behind the scenes for that as well. So it was a great confidence boost to be able to do that, and do that in front of an audience as well. Which,
big audience for a whole week.
Yeah, it was quite unnerving, but you just kind of get on with it. It's strange. You become so enveloped in the production that you end up not thinking about that. And so that led on to sort of basically gave me the bug of, I want to perform, I need to perform now. So when a black comedy came around, I was really up for that and jumped into that with both feet. And so when I was given the part of Miss Furnival, I suddenly realized maybe I've bitten off a bit more than I can chew. I first did the read through and realized it was a massive part, and thought, can I really do this? And then it turns out, yes, I can.
Yeah,
it was absolutely amazing. And it was amazing. Yeah, such good casting. I mean, Bevis and Ed and Mark and Stella and Molly.
Yeah, it was fab. Really fab.
Was amazing, absolutely amazing. And that gave me such a confidence boost. And really helped with my anxiety and bring me out of my shell.
Yeah.
Once you've done something like that, there's no going back.
No, totally. I mean, what's lovely about you though, Emma, is that obviously, you know, you've really sort of got your act together in terms of now you've got a job and you're working in these escape rooms in Newton Abbot, but you specifically ask every Thursday to have Thursday off so you can still be in drama, which we love.
Yeah.
So that is so fab. I mean, how would you, I mean, you know, you've changed so much in 5 years, haven't you?
Massively.
What would you say to people who are perhaps at the sidelines thinking, oh, drama, really? How does that work? You know, I mean, in terms of actually your rehabilitation and your therapy, if you like.
I would say dive in, because it's all very well being sat on the sidelines, but you really do get out of it what you put in. And for me, and I still have anxiety and I still have depression, but I look forward to those Thursdays because it's a real chance to sort of let loose. You know, you can really let your hair down, you can really be who you really are, and nobody judges you. Nobody cares if you're making a fool of yourself, because that's kind of what you're there for, you know.
Totally.
It's to have a laugh.
Yes.
And everyone is laughing with you, not at you.
Yeah.
And it, you know, I don't think there's many opportunities in life where you can really let yourself go and have a laugh and truly be yourself, and to be really accepted for who you are. And it's the one safe space where you can do that.
Yeah.
And if you've got that, you can then expand on it in the rest of your life. So from doing that once a week, you can then sort of move on and find other places within your life where you can take those skills and transfer them over. So
yeah, no, definitely.
it's hugely valuable.
Well, definitely. Well, and I mean, my goodness, you're such a testament to you know, how you've changed. I mean, people just you know, people look to you. It's so fab, and I'm so glad that you're in the film. How are you preparing for multi-mega Hollywood stardom?
Oh, I'm just planning on being myself still.
We're giving everybody like a pseudonym, aren't we? So, like, you know, I think Angela got, you know, Judi Dench. I think Steph's got Maggie Smith. So, you know, there's Nicola Walker, Olivia Colman, Keedy Hawes up for grabs. I mean, you know, you got to grab one of them.
I have no idea who they are.
Listen, Emma, thank you so much for sharing something of, you know, your experience with Unleashed, but also your story. We really appreciate that, you know, because it's a great encouragement to other folks. So, you know, I mean, my goodness, I'm so excited about seeing your finished production. Of course, we've got the big scene, the bread riot coming up with old Margie going to be, you know, tipping a chamber pot in the street, and Steph picking up the dog poo, and oh my gosh, it's going to be so fab. It's going to be in this dodgy street scene, Victorian street scene. We've got all that to look forward to. All that to look forward to. So, Emma, thank you so much for joining us, and you know, really, really appreciate it. We will look forward to seeing you on the big screen.
Let's hope so.